Good morning. Today's video chat is about self-worth. It's something I think that we can all understand and appreciate that has had an impact, I guess, in our life from very early childhood to us as adults. It's something that I've worked on for a very long time, which say up until I was like, I think it was like 36, 35, 36, I didn't realise I actually had like, not, well, I had very little self-worth. But I was in this illusion of thinking that I had it and I didn't. So I worked really hard with that to release it. But like we talk about mirrors and people mirroring stuff to us. So, excuse me. Presently, I'm working with a friend and we are creating some awesome stuff together. But some stuff has happened with that, and without going into too much detail, and like when things happen we do have triggers, and I thought, you know what, I'm okay. And I had a chat with a friend yesterday with regards to things and to get a little bit of clarity, and with it. And this morning, I guess for me it's like I can see in others what's going on. I can see like the bigger picture in that. But like this morning I got up and it was still there in my consciousness, and I'm like, okay, so if I'm seeing that with her, that small child that's playing out because of self-worth, am I still holding that energy within myself? Because I didn't feel that I was. Again, the ego will come in and we will create an illusion that, you know, I'm good. And generally my self-worth is pretty much up there, but there is an element of that that wasn't quite healed, let's say. So I sat this morning and I just asked, you know, where is that in me? Like, you know, where am I still carrying that energy? And I've got a picture of my mum there, and just a memory just came in, of when I was little, and that was it. It triggered then that. So I took myself into that meditation, and to go in and nurture and heal that. And like everything, any healing that we do on ourselves, or if someone else performs, it takes a while for everything else to catch up, because we're healing on a cellular level and not just our mental state. And the mental state can kick in really quick, but then it takes time for the spiritual and the physical and the emotional body to catch up. I mean, we all work differently. Some people will shift really quick, and everything will come into alignment. So I'm just allowing myself to kind of, for that to happen, for it to all come into alignment. But, you know, loving myself for being in that moment, because it's really important. Our self-worth gets knocked so much, and when I went into the meditation, I saw even in the womb that self-worth was not there, and feeling the energy around that. And it's strange, you know, it's not strange, but my parents didn't have a lot of self-worth for each other, like individually. There wasn't a lot of that going on, and so it wasn't always shown. And some of the ways in which they parented, it didn't always show up in that unconditional love, the acknowledgement and the acceptance of that this is who I was, and you're going to love me anyway. That wasn't always present growing up, and I think a lot of us can resonate with that. If we sat for a moment and just look back on your childhood and those moments when You know, when we really, really did probably need a hug, and we did need to feel that unconditional love from our parents, and it wasn't always there. And they're the things that affect us. They're the things that affect our self-worth growing up, and even now. And I'm like 41, and it was a bit of a shock, really, like that for me this morning is like was there, and I'm like, okay, because I do a lot of work on self-love, and I practice that, and I practice that daily, because it's really important, because I can't show up for the rest of the world if I'm not, showing up for myself. And so it's really important that we work on that. And I guess this is just hopefully this video will resonate with people to understand that actually we can get past that. We can work on that within ourselves. And if it means having conversations with other people, with our parents, with those that behaved in a way that led us to feel worthless or not loved, whatever is in the unconscious, and whatever belief that you've created, because it's a lie, because we are worthy, but we have to work on that. And so what we often do is we do project outside of ourselves, or we try and fill a hole or a void within us that stops us really getting into the nitty gritty of it and the root of that, to heal that. So I went, as I say, I did the meditation, and I went in and I probably found about 8 Nicolas of different ages of where that was really strong, that energy. And I went in and just gave her that love and spoke to her and nurtured her in that way, and let her know that actually, she is worth it. And as an adult, we are, I'm worthy. And it's really important that we do that for ourselves, so that we can do that if you've got children as well, and for the people around us. Because an old pattern of mine would be, if someone wasn't showing what I've been conditioned to believe is respect, or being honest and communicating, and because things like that are important for me as an individual, to be honest with me, communicate with me if you've got stuff going on, and what, if I'm going to be working with you or whatever capacity, even if it's a friendship. So it's really important. And so one of my things in the past would be to shut that down and just walk away. But I'm not doing that, because that's not practicing self-love, and it's not practicing unconditional love. Because if I'm going to shut somebody off because their inner child is running, even though they're an adult, but unconsciously that behavior, that pattern is still running, if I cut them off and shut them out, then I'm not honoring myself either. Because as a child, when I needed it the most, that moment of acknowledgement from my parents, or to give me whatever it was that I needed on an emotional level, that wasn't there. So for me to behave that way as an adult, I'm still then continuing that pattern of my parents. So it's breaking that cycle of behavior, so that I can be present for my friend, and have the awareness and understanding that her inner child is just playing out an old pattern, and that actually I acknowledge that and I accept that. How we go forward, that's a conversation that will happen, but I'm not gonna step away and lose a friend, because then I keep the cycle going instead of breaking that pattern. Because that's not who I am. I'm not my parents. I'm not that pattern. That behavior is not who I am. So it's like shifting that out and changing that. And it's been amazing to be able to recognize that within myself, so that I can shift it and move forward. So, when you're seeing this in your outside world, or you're seeing a perceived idea of something, step back and ask yourself, where is that alive in me? like, what is this person showing me? Where is it alive in me? How can I let this go, so that I can be present and be showing unconditional love? Because most of us have had that in our life where people haven't approached us with that unconditional love, and that's, you know, the understanding and the acknowledgement of who we are as individuals. And, you know, it does have a massive impact. And if we keep carrying on that pattern, you know, it's going to keep affecting, and the world's going to stay in this, in the space that it's in. People are going to continue to stay in that space that they're in. But when we can start to show up and show that unconditional love for another person, and have an adult conversation where you can be raw with your emotions, and you can, you know, express how you're feeling, but without, you know, being controlling or aggressive or passive, or, you know, whatever way it is. It's about showing up with that unconditional love for yourself and for the other people, because it will make a massive change. It will shift in them when they see that, actually, okay, so I'm playing this out, and actually I'm being accepted, and I'm being acknowledged that this is going on, and I'm allowed to be in this space for the moment, and I'm still loved, and it's okay. The energy shifts like that. It's amazing how quick it can change, and the vibration lifts, for you and for that other person. So yeah, with self-love, it is all, self-worth is all, it is about you loving yourself and acknowledging yourself, you know, for all your faults. You've got to love them as well, because, like, they are you, they are part of you. We don't have to continue to live our life with those faults and those patterns. We can make that conscious choice to shift that out, but we need to acknowledge that that has been a part of us, and it's okay. We were allowed to be that way, you know, we were allowed to behave like that, because that was our understanding, and that is what we know, or what we knew. So it's okay, and it's loving yourself for them things, and not beating yourself up, you know, because we're really good at doing that. And I used to do that a lot, especially when I first started out, and I had all this, like, I'd just done NLP, and I'd done landmark education, so I had a lot of awareness about, you know, what's going on up here and how we can change certain things within ourselves. So when I went into moments, I would often beat myself up and get annoyed with myself, and then the cycle would continue, and the pattern would still continue, when actually what I needed to do is just honor myself in that moment. And it's really important on this journey, that we're all on, is acknowledging where you're at, and knowing that it's okay. Someone else's opinion, just because others may think that you should be doing A, B, C, and D, that's their stuff. You don't have to acknowledge, you don't need, not acknowledge, but you don't have to take that on. You know, you can recognize, like, that actually, okay, that might work for you, and that's great, but actually what I need is this, and I need to go in this space, and I need to explore it, and I need to feel it, and I need to express it, and, you know, whatever it is that you need individually, you know. And it's being aware, and it's loving yourself for that. And I had this conversation with my son yesterday, that not everyone thinks and feels the way that we do, and that expectation that we have with others, that they should be doing. No, why should they? That's not how they're programmed. That's not who they are. So, you know, I hope, you know, like, my son has been enlightened a little bit, and he's very, very, for 13, his emotional intelligence amazes me. But, like, just to say to him, you know, that he was feeling angry towards somebody about a situation, and he said, you know, but he should be doing this, and, like, I had to kind of break it down and say, but if I don't ask for the help, they're not going to know. And he's like, yeah, but they're fully aware of this situation, so why are they not offering? And I said, because not everybody thinks and feels and does the same thing. Just because our consciousness would do that, because that's part of who we are, we would, without question, you know, how can I support you? How can I help you? Or whatever it is. Not everybody thinks like that. I said, you know, and I specifically haven't asked because I know that I can do this. And if I really wanted to, I know that they would help. So I had to, you know, explain that we are all different. We are, how we work, how we think, how we feel is different for everybody. And it's about us individually acknowledging that within ourselves and within others. And the more we can acknowledge that and accept that within ourselves, the more we're going to be able to turn up for other people and be present for them in their moments of needing that acknowledgement and that acceptance and understanding of the spaces that they're in. So yeah, just with self-love, it's a daily practice, it's working on that, but don't beat yourself up if it comes up, because some of this stuff goes so deep. And when you're carrying, as we know, genetically, we carry our ancestors' genes, So I know from doing a family tree and looking at the patterns that self-worth has been a massive hereditary thing. So shifting it in myself is, it had to go. Like I don't want that. I don't want that for my children. But again, I have to acknowledge that they are also on a journey, and if that is something that they've got to work with and work through, that's okay too. It's all part and parcel of our experience and our journeys and how we are going to become the person that we need to be. So thank you for taking time to have a listen. I hope this has been insightful, and I look forward to sharing some more.